Yes, thank you, Jeremy, for the introduction. Sure, thanks. I'm going to start the evening off with a little bit of moral philosophy. I'm going to talk to you about the shallow pond, which is an argument first put forward by Peter Singer. Peter Singer is an Australian philosopher. He's known in some circles for his work on how do you live a good life, how do you live a moral life, what choices do you make that make you the most moral in the world. Here's how the story goes approximately. You're out for the evening and you have your best dress on, best clothes, best shoes, and you find yourself next to, in this thought experiment, some water, and in that water there's a drowning child. And without your intervention, the child will certainly drown. And there's no time to remove your shoes and your clothes. So you have the choice either go in that pond, ruin your clothing, save that life, or move on and save your clothing. And the implication here is that saying, well, no, you cannot leave a child drowning because you don't want to ruin your expensive shoes and your expensive clothes. So that leads to an interesting result, which seems to suggest that we should not worry about our money when it comes to saving lives. So it kind of leads to this idea of an obligation for giving away your money. Here's how the argument sort of goes. You should be saving a drowning child, even if it means ruining your expensive materials. All lives are created equal, whether it's a life in Nanaimo or a life in California or a life in Africa. These are all equally people who should be saving. And you could, if you pick the right charity right now, save a life with your money. That seems to lead to the conclusion then that you should do nothing else in life other than giving away your money to save as many lives as possible. Now, I have trouble with this because I like to think I'm a fairly logical person. I live my life without too many contradictions. I like being thoughtful in what I do. But when it comes to, does this argument change my behavior, the answer is no. And it's interesting because I agree with every one of these premises. All three of those first premises I agree with. I can't see any flaws in those premises. The conclusion also, in my opinion, follows from those three premises. So it's a valid and a sound argument, yet this doesn't make me want to give away all my money because I can't live in that kind of world. I can't always be giving away my money, never enjoying the moment because I'm thinking, well, this money could be better spent elsewhere. I can't enjoy a family trip. I can't enjoy a sushi dinner because I can say to myself, well, I could have spent 2 hours at home, eating at home, and the rest of the money could have gone to save a life. So despite this argument making complete sense to me, there's no implications in how I actually live my life. So I want to show you a different way, different framework for how you can think about how you can do good with your money. And that's, rather than an obligation framework, is an opportunity framework. So consider this. At any moment, you can summon a burning building. In that burning building, there's a child. And you can jump into that burning building, pull that child out, and save their life. If it wasn't for you, that child would have died, but because of your actions, that child is now alive and living. Think about the positive good that does. First of all, that individual child is now alive and can live their life. The parents of that child don't go through life knowing that they lost a child. The community around that family is affected less negatively. And also individually, you recognize that, hey, I saved a life. You can look at yourself and say, even if what's going on in your life right now, hey, my actions have led to a child not dying in a burning building. So this has good positive implications on the person being saved, and it has a lot of neat implications on your own personal psychology. So I would argue with this framework, thinking about giving money as an opportunity, as a way to actually be a superhero. This is what superheroes do. They're exciting because they save lives. But maybe this is a thing that might change your behavior and how you think about how you use your money. Now, when it comes to money, value is an important thing. We want to use our money in the best way possible, and this is true both when you buy a laptop. You don't want to be going out and buying an okay laptop for your money. You want to buy the best laptop you can for a given sum of money. Same in investments. You want to get the best return you can on an investment when you make it. And this is how we should think about charity donations too. It's not just about giving your money to a charity, but it's giving your money to a charity that does the most or the best good. Think about how many times you've been asked in a checkout line, do you want to round up your money to the nearest dollar? Or do you want to give an extra $5 to the charity X? Or someone comes to your house and asks you, do you want to give some money to charity Y? When else in your life would you use that same reason? Some guy comes up to you and says, hey, do you want to buy a watch? It's a really good watch. You spend your money to buy this watch here. You probably say, no. You want to do some research. You want to say, what's the best watch I can get with the money I have? Well, donation is the same thing. We should use analysis, critical thinking, careful thought about how do we use our money to do the most good we can with the money that we want to give to charities. So it's important to think about when coming to giving away your money, how effective is your money and how efficient is your money. Many charities might advertise a very low overhead. So imagine a charity that only has 20% of the money you give away is going toward overhead, going toward paying their employees. Is this a good charity? Well, of course, it depends on what they're doing. This is a real charity. Homeopath Without Borders is a real charity out there. You can give your money to these people. They will go to third world countries and they will teach the citizens of these areas how to be better homeopaths. How do you teach your communities to spread homeopathic ideas to their community? So yes, even if this charity had a very, very low overhead, it doesn't do a lot of good in the world as a whole. So the idea of doing the most good you can is an idea established by this group called the Effective Altruism Movement, Altruism Group. And they had this question, hey, I want to do good with my money and my time in the world, and I want to do the most good I can with money and time in the world. And they look at evidence, they look at the ways charities and groups do good in the world, and they try to remove that emotional element. We've all seen ads where they say, hey, this child will die or needs your help, please give. And that's playing on our emotional kind of first response part of our brains. It doesn't look maybe deeper at how much good does charity Y actually do. And the Effective Altruism Movement wants to address that second part. How can you do the most good, remove the emotions, look at it from more a consequentialist perspective? How can you do the most good, save the most people, help the most people, the sum amount of money that you want to give? So one of the things that this group has created is called givewell.org. And they're a website that looks at charities across the world, looking at hundreds of charities, and they pick just about eight charities and say, these are the charities that will do the most good with your money on the planet. Here's the website. They have a lot of information about what they do, how do they evaluate charities. They list their top 8 to 10 charities, and they also describe why these charities do a lot of good. I was also impressed to even have our mistake section on their main page saying, hey, here's where we've been wrong about our predictions, here's where our analysis wasn't exactly right. But just like you would do research before you buy a laptop or buy a stock, this is how we can do research for how do we use our money to actually have the most good impacted at the ground level for the people that most need our money. One of the charities here is called the Against Malaria Foundation. And this foundation gives out bed nets to the at-risk children who might be bitten by mosquitoes, who are then going to contract malaria. And they estimate just under $4,000 buys enough bed nets to save at least one person. Meaning, if they didn't have that money, there wouldn't be the regular bed nets. One of those children would have died without this investment in bed nets. So they look at those data, they look at areas in Africa where bed nets were and were not provided, and they do analyses based on these numbers to see, hey, where do we really have the most good being done with when money is given to charities? So I would suggest to you that you have the opportunity to do good in the world. And it's worth considering, can you commit some small percentage of your yearly income to doing good in the world in this way? Making it small is nice because you can still go out and enjoy family holidays, you can still enjoy food. It's not really going to impact your life in that much of a way that you can't enjoy the nice parts about money. But making it small means you can still enjoy these parts of life, but it also means you can do it many times over your life. And it may even inspire others to do the same thing. It leads to conversations. But maybe most importantly, with just a small amount of money, you can save a life. You can actually have the idea or feeling that without me in this world, this child wouldn't have been there. Now, you're never going to meet that person, but you have that knowledge that the choices that you've made have actually impacted the world in that much good. That there's a life out there that wouldn't have been there without your thoughts. So consider looking at givewell.org, see what they are all about, look at the research they've done on different charities. If you're thinking of donating in Canada, you can get a tax receipt by doing this through RC Forward. And I have put the influences from my talk tonight on our shared document. There are a couple of podcasts that really influenced how I thought about this. Some really smart people talking about moral philosophy, talking about Peter Singer's shallow pond argument, and looking at donation through this new opportunity lens, that you have the chance to give money. Thanks for your attention.